What up, guys? Carolina Jackpot time coming at you. It is Tuesday evening. I hope everyone is doing good today. Hope you had a great day. Only a couple more days until Thanksgiving. Get to spend some time with your friends and family. Enjoy a good meal, fellowship. Whatever it is you do on Thanksgiving, I hope you're able to do it well, and have fun doing it. Before we get into the subject of this video, I wanted to make sure I touched a couple of more times on the Callaway's live show that Rob Sanders and I will be putting on this coming Friday night, November the 28th, at the Callaway's Sports Bar and Grill in West Columbia. It is on Highway 1, diagonal from the Walmart. That's at 8 o'clock. This coming Friday night, we'll be doing trivia. We'll be doing our own podcast, the normal show that we do on Wednesdays and Sundays. We'll be doing it and doing our rivalry game picks. We'll also have food, fellowship, and fun there. If you're not a drinker, don't worry about it. You can still show up and have a good time with us. We have fun when we do this thing at Callaway's every year. These folks do a great job. They sponsor the show for us, and we certainly do appreciate them. So come out there and hang out with us if you're free on Friday evening. We're going to have a great time at 8 o'clock. I'll put the link in the description box below to the Callaway's website, so you can get the directions off there if you're kind of unfamiliar with Columbia and don't know exactly where Callaway's is. Now, getting into the subject of the video, just wanted to talk a little bit about Rivalry Week and what we've got going on here from this standpoint. Of course, South Carolina will kick off at noon on Saturday on the SEC Network, I believe it is this year, against the Clemson Tater Shits. The Gamecocks coming in with a record of 4-7. Taters are 6-5. They got bowl eligible this past weekend with a 45-10 win over Furman, an FCS team that is from right here in Greenville, South Kakalaki. Both teams coming just off the heels of extremely disappointing seasons. Both of them had higher expectations, obviously, than what they delivered on, especially Clemson. A lot of folks thought they would be in contention for the national championship. In fact, they were some people's pick to either be in the national championship game or outright win the damn thing. I knew that was silly talk all summer long, and it's not just because I'm a South Carolina fan and I hate Clemson, which all of those are true. I could just tell. I mean, you looked at that squad inherently, I could tell a good squad, yeah. I thought ACC champs, sure. National champion? No. No, hell no. I thought there's no way you're competing with Ohio State, Georgia even. Any of these teams that were at that time thought to be there in that top 5 type area. And of course, they lived up to every degree of that and then some. Had an absolutely awful season. In fact, most thought they were going to end up with a losing record. But they have been on a little bit of a winning streak, if you want to call it that. Look, and I'm not going to besmirch any win over a Power 5 team, because God knows my bunch has had their struggles this year with that. But Louisville, a terrible team, a very undisciplined bunch that just gave Clemson the ball game. And then you had Florida State, and we saw what they are this past Friday night. Jesus, what an awful performance against NC State. Just ought to be flat embarrassed. Ought to be flat out embarrassed. I know South Carolina, that we've had our struggles this year running the ball. We've had troubles with the offensive line blocking. I mean, but that was just a total collapse, meltdown. It looked as if Florida State had quit. And that's one thing, at least, that you're not getting from the Gamecocks. There is no lack of intensity and no lack of will to want to try to win the game, even if it might be in futile efforts there. So at least we can hang our hat on that, I guess. Shane Beamer press conference today. More of the same. I'm telling you guys, I don't feel comfortable with him. I just don't like him. Is it fair for me to just go ahead and say that? I just don't like him. I cannot stand that snarky attitude that he takes with everybody. And I think that if you listen to the press conference, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He has this little beef going on with this Jack Vitry guy from Gamecock Central. And I think he thinks he's being funny, but he just comes off as a mega douche, just beefing with this dude. About, I noticed you weren't in the stands for the Coastal game last week, Jack. Jack, nope, I was out covering the basketball tournament in Greenbrier. Oh, okay, well, you noticed we didn't have any trouble winning with you not there. Maybe you'll be banned from Williams-Brice this weekend. I think he's half kidding, but I think inherently he's telling the truth. And, of course, he's just grinding his own act. I don't find this humor funny. I find it extremely off-putting and dorky. The shit's not funny, guy. Shit's not funny. Being 4-7 is not funny. You know, going into your rivalry week, having to win just to be 5-7, just to give your fan base something to hang their hat on, is extremely. It's just extremely distasteful to me that you find everything such a big fucking joke. I'm done with him. I've already told you guys I didn't want him retained after this year. And, you know, hey, look, we could get blown out on Saturday. That's not outside the realm of possibility for this bunch. It would be unlikely, given what I've seen from Clemson and just knowing what I know about Carolina and how that team hangs in every ball game, for the most part. Now, there was that thing with Oklahoma, I guess, but and people will point to that Vandy thing, but Norris hurt. They're not going to get blown out. If they do, and they don't show up, he could, I think, definitely be let go. I think that's also highly unlikely, but, you know, anything's on the table. Nothing surprises me in college football anymore. You know, that's a dead horse that I'm just really tired of beating at this point. I'm just, unfortunately, ready for our season to be over with. But there's a ton of great games out there with teams that actually have competent coaches and actually know how to play decent football. One of those guys who's actually a competent coach, for the most part, being one Lane Kiffin, and we've all followed his big troll journey. Of course, I guess in his press conference, was either yesterday or today, he kind of got mad because people were asking him about his future. Look, guy, people are going to ask you about your future. Why are you being so damn catty about it? And then other folks out there in the media are like, well, Lane may not have made up his mind yet. Y'all need to leave Lane alone. Fuck Lane. Yeah, fuck Lane. Lane's a damn troll. Lane fakes. He has his team out here faking injuries. You know, just all this sneaky, underhanded shit. And look, if I was a Tennessee fan, I wouldn't be able to stand him either. Of course, I'm not a Tennessee fan, so I think what he did to them was funny. But if I were a Tennessee fan, I wouldn't be able to stand his ass either. I can see why y'all threw a damn mustard bottle and your top flight golf ball at him. That was one of the golf balls they had at the mini golf course, little putt-putt place up in Sevierville, most likely in that. So he's an individual that I'm just sick and tired of hearing about. Let it be done. When that saga is over with, I think all of us will be better off and all of us will be happier when we don't really have to hear about Lane Kiffin's whereabouts and the as the world turns with Lane Kiffin 24/7. It's maddening. In terms of this ball game, Gamecocks 2.5-point favorite. That, to me, I mean, that speaks a lot to home field advantage, and it speaks a lot to, I think, just South Carolina's strength of schedule, which gives them a perceived edge over Clemson. They should honestly be a bigger favorite than this. In fact, they're only 2.5-point favorites. Probably points a little bit to Clemson having a little bit of success the past few games. And I don't know, maybe their success in Columbia in the recent past. South Carolina hasn't won there since 2013. In fact, this is the first time South Carolina's been favored in this game since 2013. Heck, we might not end up being favored in it by the time the thing kicks off. There's always time for those lines to move, although I don't really think they will. I think South Carolina will still be a favorite. There's a lot still riding on this game. South Carolina needs to go out there and take care of business and win this game. You've got a lot of fans out there. I'm not one of them. If you lose this game, I'm not going to be any more ticked off about the season and the way it went than I would have if we win it. I can sit here with a straight face and tell you that today. I'm not going to tell you it doesn't matter to me, because it does. But at the end of the day, this is not the whole season. But this is the whole season for a lot of Gamecock fans. This is what they gauge or rather measure the success or failure of a season, is whether or not we're able to beat Clemson. So for those folks, I certainly hope that we're able to do it. But anything can happen in a rivalry game. We've seen them go topsy-turvy. We've seen the home team not play as well in these games of late. So be on the lookout for that. Offensive coordinator hire. I have no idea what Shane Beamer's going to do with this, but I can tell you with almost an extremely high degree of certainty. I say almost because there's always a sliver of hope. And when I say that, I can assure you he's going to fuck it up. In some way or other, I can assure you he's going to fuck it up, because he has proven such the past 3 times he's hired one. Now, I don't know. I guess Dowell Loggins was okay. As I've told you guys, he wasn't my favorite OC. Thought he was kind of vanilla, but Lord have mercy. About the time of that LSU game, when I was sitting up there watching that debacle in Death Valley South, I looked over there at my son. I was like, good God, like, where's Dowell Loggins at when you need him? Mike Furry, is he? Are they going to consider him for the job? Are we going to be serious about this and consider this guy? Called a really good first half of the game against Texas A&M in his first. That was his first assignment as a play caller that game. Didn't call a very good game in the second half. Now, in Mike Furry's defense, I don't think Mike Furry was probably counting on being up 30-3 at the half. Maybe didn't know quite what to do. At this point, this is where Shane Beamer never being a coordinator is more of a bad thing than it is a good thing. Because when you're dealing with a guy like you're dealing with a guy like a Steve Sarkisian, you're dealing with a guy like a Josh Heupel, a Lane Kiffin, and I think all these guys call their own plays anyway, or an Eli Drinkowitz. Some of these guys are offensive minds that have offensive coordinators. When things start to go sideways, they can always step in. A Ryan Day. Those guys can always step in and smooth shit over more often than not. With Shane Beamer, he's just like, hello. Let's run a fake punt. Let's go for 2 if we score, though. Just don't know what to do. And that's where that's a problem. Ultimately, irregardless of what kind of game he calls against Clemson, whether it's successful, whether it's not successful, I do think that they will go outside the program to make a hire. I also think they'll keep Furry on the staff. I don't think he's going to go anywhere, whether he just returns to being wide receivers coach, or whether maybe they elevate his role a little bit, maybe make him a co-OC, an associate head coach, something like that. This guy's been a head coach before. Granted, it was at the Division II level, but he was successful for a decent amount of years, 2 different times at Limestone College in Gaffney, South Carolina, which, by the way, doesn't exist anymore. How's that? That's weird, isn't it? Yeah, it's not a school anymore. So, definitely, this guy's intelligent enough to do the job, I would think, on a full-time basis. Now, he's never done it on an SEC level. He's never done it at a power conference level before. I think that is one thing that'll hold them back on that. Also, the stigma of bad hires that have come from within the program probably take a dump on Mike Furry's resume before Mike Furry really even has a chance. So I say all that to say he's going to be unfairly judged. He's going to be judged based on these other crappy hires. And ultimately, I just don't think that they'll go that direction. But you need to get this one right. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to find someone to come here and not look. I'm not, you get these people all over the YouTube comment sections that are fans of other teams that are always throwing this dumb shit out like, well, who's going to come coach South Carolina? Who's going to come want to coach there? There's a lot of people that would like to come make $8 million to be a head coach in the SEC. I mean, we live in a nation of, 250 million people, something like that. I think somewhere or another they can find one competent individual to run a football program. But that's neither here nor there. What would hold me back if I was a young up-and-coming OC, first of all, knowing that Shane Beamer's head is on the chopping block, I'm thinking, man, do I really want to go there? Kind of sight unseen. I think I can be successful, but what if I'm not? This guy's going to get fired because my offense is going to suck, and then that's going to be a black mark on me. You've got that, or you can got somebody too that says, I know I can go out there and run that offense. I know I can work with Norris Sellers, and I know I can do all kind of great things with those cats, but he's a lame duck. He gets fired at the end of the year. I'm getting fired too, through no fault of my own. So when you look at it that way, it may be a tough sell for him. So looking internally at a Mike Furry might, that might be the way they would want to go. But it's going to be interesting either way. I'll be here to cover it and let you know my feedback on it, my opinion on it. Good gracious, there's a wreck of it. Look at this up here. I want you look. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. Look at that up there. I'm trying to go somewhere. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get where I'm going. There is always something going on here in the upstate of South Carolina anymore. I mean, I just, there's always a wreck. There's always just a shit show everywhere. The interstates are always backed up. These roads are always backed up. I'm in my box truck. Am I seriously going to have to turn around to avoid this mess? Holy shit. I guess I am. All right, guys. So that signals it's time for me to end this video, and let's see what the hell's going on up here. Anyway, guys, if you like this, hit it with a thumbs up. I'll be talking to you all later on. If I don't see you before Thanksgiving, have a happy Thanksgiving. I'll see y'all later. Appreciate you. Peace. I'm out of here. Go Gamecocks. Woo!